The creation of 2000 AD and Judge Dredd was a tortuous and protracted process. In this, it was not unusual. I understand most great comic book heroes, such as Superman and Batman, go through a complex process of changes, revisions, and modifications before the final iconic product is achieved. But Dredd was more tortuous than most, because its two creators, writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Ezquerra, reluctantly and understandably walked away from their embryonic creation, leaving myself and others to develop it rather than let it be stillborn. In making their exits, ultimately because of their lack of intellectual property rights over their character, they had my sympathy. In their situation, I might well have done the same. But I could not allow their character to die. Dredd had to survive because its potential was so obvious and so enormous. It was not just the creators who wanted Dredd or even 2000 AD itself to fade away. Leading fantasy artists loathed us because we were published by IPC magazines who were responsible for the past desecration of beautiful artwork by Frank Bellamy and Frank Hampson, creator of Dan Dare. For instance, one young fantasy artist, John Bolton, came to bollock me personally for over an hour for IPC's past crimes over the way they'd treated Hampson, Bellamy, and other stars, losing, destroying, or not returning their artwork. It was known that the Storeman regularly used priceless masterpieces of comic art kept in the vaults of Fleetway House in Farringdon Street to bung up leaking drains and use as dartboards, also slicing bits off the pages so they would fit the shelves better. A shameful story. I completely understood how he felt. I was suitably repentant on behalf of the browncoats, who were probably, even as we spoke, stubbing out their fags on a page of Dan Dare while they rested their mugs of tea on Heros the Spartan. John said he couldn't work for me because of this appalling past and because we didn't return original artwork. He clearly had only come into the office to let off steam. After I had been suitably tongue-lashed and castigated, he left, and I turned to my staff. "Okay, guys, get the shredder out and let's cut up some more old artwork. Who's got the Stanley knife?" Art agents also didn't want their leading artists, like the great Brian Lewis, to be associated with our low-grade publication printed on cheap bog paper in black and white, as at least one of them made very clear to me. Comic fans hated us because we weren't their glossy and colourful image of science fiction, whether it was superhero comics, TV21, or heavy metal magazine. One superfan would come into IPC HQ at Kingsreach Tower and patiently explain to me at great length where I was going wrong, why I needed the benefit of his expert advice, and why 2000 AD should be more like heavy metal or metal hurlant. I'm so glad I didn't take his advice because I understand he ended his days sleeping under a railway viaduct. IPC comic editors, too, wanted our publication to die because they sensed it was the crest of the new wave that would eventually shut down their publications and end their careers. The managing editor, Jack Legrand, oozing passive aggression, would tell me with great relish the latest sales figures, which suggested 2000 AD, after its initial huge popularity, was on the slippery slope to disaster. We're talking about a drop of maybe 2,000 sales a week. Nothing to worry about, but he could dream, couldn't he? He and his unpleasant ilk did everything to undermine my confidence and throw a spanner in the works. For example, losing a potentially groundbreaking strip and withholding information on cool artists. But that was a tactical error on their part, because it just brought out the "screw you" in me.